Hello aviators and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a topic that's as beautiful as it is dangerous flying over water. The endless blue above and below can be mesmerizing, but it hides a deadly illusion that's fooled even veteran pilots. This phenomenon, known as the sky and ocean illusion, is a form of spatial disorientation. Our brains, wired for life on the ground, struggle when familiar visual cues vanish: trees, buildings, a clear horizon. Over water, the world becomes a seamless expanse, and the brain fills in the blanks sometimes with fatal consequences. We'll break down how this illusion works, why it's so convincing, and most importantly, how to recognize and defeat it. Whether you're a student pilot or a seasoned captain, understanding this threat is essential. Let's learn how to keep the beauty of ocean flying from turning into a deadly trap. Imagine, if you will, that you're piloting an aircraft on a long, seemingly endless flight. Below you stretches a calm, glassy sea, its surface so smooth it mirrors the sky above. The air is still, and the only sound is the gentle hum of the aircraft engines. As you continue onward, the horizon begins to blur, and gradually, almost imperceptibly, the ocean and sky begin to merge into one seamless expanse. The line between them vanishes. Your brain, now deprived of a clear visual reference, starts to misinterpret the sensory information it's receiving, leading to a dangerous situation. Cloud reflections shimmering on the water's surface begin to resemble distant stars, twinkling in a dark expanse, while the sky above, devoid of familiar landmarks, seems like an empty, infinite void. In this disorienting moment, your senses, normally reliable, can betray you, feeding you false information. You might suddenly feel like you're climbing steeply, or even flying inverted, your inner ear sending incorrect signals, and instinctively, you might push the nose of the aircraft down, a natural reaction to what feels like an unnatural position. This action sends you straight toward the water, unknowingly putting the aircraft into a dangerous dive. This isn't due to a lack of flying skill or experience, but rather it's the result of a powerful and deceptive illusion known as spatial disorientation. At night, when visual cues are even more limited, the effect intensifies dramatically, making the situation even more perilous. The runway lights, normally a comforting sight, can appear to float in a vast black void, detached from the ground. In such conditions, you can quickly lose all sense of your true altitude and orientation relative to the ground. In these critical moments, the only reliable source of truth comes from your flight instruments, meticulously calibrated and designed to provide accurate data. You must learn to trust them implicitly, even when they contradict what your eyes and inner ear are telling you. Trusting your fallible senses over the objective readings of your gauges is a recipe for disaster, a path that can lead to catastrophic consequences. This tragic reality is confirmed by countless accident reports and investigations into aviation mishaps. The urge to believe your instincts, to trust your gut feeling, is undeniably strong, a deeply ingrained human trait. However, in these specific and hazardous conditions, that very instinct can become your worst enemy, leading you down a path of deception and danger. Therefore, you must prepare yourself for the very real possibility that your brain will actively lie to you, creating a false sense of reality. And remember, in those critical moments of disorientation, your instruments are the only unwavering voice of truth, the only source of information you can truly trust to guide you safely. We've all experienced moments where our perception doesn't quite match reality. But why does this illusion happen, especially in environments where accuracy is paramount? What is it about our visual system that makes it so susceptible to these kinds of errors? It's all about how our brains process visual information, constantly interpreting the signals it receives from our eyes. This process, while usually reliable, can be easily tricked when the environment lacks familiar reference points. On the ground, we rely on verticals, the upright lines of buildings and trees, horizontals like roads and the horizon itself, and textures, the subtle variations in fields and surfaces to orient ourselves and maintain our sense of balance. These elements provide a constant stream of information that our brains use to construct a stable and accurate representation of the world around us. But in the cockpit over open water, those crucial cues vanish. The familiar landscape disappears, replaced by a seemingly endless expanse. No trees to mark your position, no roads to indicate direction, just the monotonous blue of sky and sea stretching out in every direction. When the horizon disappears completely in haze or fog, further diminishing visual input, your brain experiences what's known as the Ganzfeld effect, a perceptual phenomenon caused by exposure to a uniform stimulation field. Starved for sensory input, it desperately tries to make sense of the void, and in doing so it invents its own reality, often a distorted one. Adding to the confusion, a calm sea often mirrors the sky with uncanny accuracy, effectively erasing the boundary between up and down, leaving you without a clear sense of orientation. At night, the darkness below and above blend into an indistinguishable black canvas, and even distant boat lights, normally reliable navigational aids, can be easily mistaken for stars twinkling in the inky sky, further compounding the illusion. Peripheral vision, which is normally crucial for maintaining balance and spatial awareness, gets virtually nothing reliable to work with, forcing you to fixate on a single, often misleading cue, like a reflection on the windscreen or a faint light in the distance. This isn't just a simple trick of the light or a momentary lapse in judgment. It's a deep biological response, a primal reaction to an environment our bodies and our senses simply weren't originally built or evolved to handle. The result is that your senses become profoundly unreliable, feeding you false information and creating a dangerous illusion of reality. In these disorienting conditions, only disciplined instrument flying, relying on the objective data provided by your instruments, can keep you safe and prevent disaster. Therefore, it's crucial to recognize when your eyes are lying to you, to understand the limitations of your senses, and to consciously shift your trust and attention to your instruments, which provide a true and unwavering picture of your aircraft's attitude and position. The blank canvas of water is a major culprit in these illusions. Our visual system depends on contrast and detail shadows, textures, objects passing by. Over a smooth, endless sea, those references vanish. Judging speed, altitude, or even if you're turning, becomes nearly impossible. On approach over water, the lack of ground features makes it hard to judge descent rate, leading to dangerously low approaches. At night or in low light, the sea becomes a black void, and the only visible cues are distant runway lights. This black hole effect can trick you into descending too quickly or banking without realizing it. The same danger exists over snow or desert. Any featureless terrain can rob you of orientation. The lesson: when the world outside turns blank, your senses can't be trusted. Shift your focus to your instruments and fly by the numbers. Recognize the warning signs and act before the illusion takes hold. Atmospheric conditions like haze, fog, and rain amplify the danger over water. Haze blurs the horizon, blending sky and sea into a single featureless color. Fog is even worse. Outside references vanish instantly, and your inner ear can trick you into thinking you're turning or climbing. The leans can make a wings-level correction feel like a bank, tempting you to re-enter a dangerous attitude. Calm water acts as a perfect mirror, reflecting clouds and sky so convincingly that you might think you're inverted. Even rain can distort your view, making lights appear in the wrong place and creating a false sense of pitch. All these conditions degrade the visual cues you need for safe flight. When you encounter them, it's a red flag. Transition immediately to instrument flight. Don't wait for confusion to set in. Be proactive and trust your gauges. Recognize these atmospheric traps and let your instruments guide you through. One of the strangest illusions is the Fata Morgana, a superior mirage caused by temperature inversions over cold water. This atmospheric lens bends light, making distant objects appear stretched, floating, or even creating a false horizon above the real one. A pilot aligning with this phantom horizon unknowingly puts the aircraft into a shallow descent. The world outside looks normal, just a bit odd, but you're losing altitude without realizing it. The Fata Morgana is a powerful reminder what you see out the window can be a complete fabrication. Only a disciplined scan of your attitude indicator and altimeter can reveal the truth. Don't let atmospheric sorcery fool you. Trust your instruments, not your eyes. The real horizon is on your panel, not in the mirage. All these illusions lead to one deadly threat: spatial disorientation. When your senses and instruments disagree, acting on the wrong input can be fatal. Over water, misjudging altitude or glide path can lead to a low approach, and water impact, often unsurvivable. Loss of control is another risk, pushing the nose down when you feel inverted or entering a graveyard spiral by trusting a false horizon. In a spiral, pulling back only tightens the descent and you may not realize it until it's too late. Over featureless terrain, altitude is impossible to judge by sight. 500 feet can feel like 2,000. That's why strict altitude regulations and instrument discipline are essential over oceans. The cockpit becomes a confusing place when your senses betray you. Only rigid trust in your instruments and procedures can keep you safe. Disorientation is insidious. Fight it with discipline, not instinct. So how do you beat these illusions that can play tricks on even the most experienced pilots? How do you ensure that you remain safe and in control when your senses are telling you one thing and reality is another? It all starts with the golden rule. Trust your instruments always. They are your unwavering source of truth in the sky. They don't feel the pull of gravity playing tricks or the disorientation of a dark night. Your attitude indicator, that little window into the plane's orientation, altimeter, showing your precise altitude, and vertical speed indicator, revealing your rate of climb or descent, are immune to illusions. They provide objective data untainted by sensory deception. Believe them, even when your senses scream otherwise. It's a battle of logic versus feeling, and in aviation, logic must always prevail. Fly a stabilized approach, constant descent rate, maintaining a predictable path to the runway, airspeed, keeping your speed within the prescribed limits, and glide path. These parameters create a stable and controlled environment, minimizing the chances of disorientation. Use instrument landing systems or GPS guidance whenever possible, even in good weather. These technologies provide an extra layer of precision and redundancy, further reducing the risk of spatial disorientation. If you deviate from a stable approach, go around. Don't try to salvage a bad landing. A go-around is a sign of good airmanship, a recognition that safety always comes first. Practice instrument flying regularly, in simulators or with an instructor, to build confidence and muscle memory. This training will ingrain the proper responses, making them second nature when faced with an illusion. Discuss these illusions with other pilots, and study accident reports to learn from real-world cases. Understanding how illusions have affected others can help you recognize and avoid them. Mentally rehearse scenarios so you're ready when the sky and ocean try to trick you. Visualize yourself calmly responding to the illusion, reinforcing the correct actions. Preparation and awareness turn a deadly threat into a manageable challenge. Professionalism means knowing when to trust your training over your instincts. It's about prioritizing safety above all else. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, and let your instruments lead the way. They are your trusted allies in the sky, guiding you safely through any illusion. Ultimately, safe ocean flying comes down to awareness and discipline. Know that your senses can betray you, especially over glassy water, in haze, or on a moonless night. Approach every flight with respect for these illusions and a commitment to instrument discipline. Trust your gauges, maintain a rigorous scan, and fly a stabilized approach every time. Don't hesitate to go around if things don't look right. Professionalism is making the safe call, not forcing a landing. Learn from past incidents and honor those who fell victim by being better prepared. Every flight is a responsibility. Continuous learning and vigilance are non-negotiable. When the world outside turns surreal, let it remind you to check your instruments and take command. The beauty of the ocean and sky is breathtaking, but your reality is on the panel in front of you. Be aware, be disciplined, and always fly safe.